Snails and slugs feed on a variety of plant leaves, vegetables, and fruits, and this can cause a lot of damage in the garden. In today's episode, we will look at 5 easy ways to control snails and slugs in your garden. Slugs can cause a lot of damage on plants like potato leaves, on pepper plants, and here you can see some damage that's being done on radish leaves. They love all these edible greens. So the first tip to prevent slugs and snails is to water your plants early in the morning. Snails and slugs love moist, humid environments. So by watering your plants early in the day, the sun dries it out and your plants will be much drier and not appealing to snails in late evening when they're active. The second method we will discuss today is the beer trap method to eliminate snails and slugs. You need some beer, any kind of beer is okay, and a small container. And what you do is just pour some beer into a container which will act as a trap to catch the snails and slugs. Now the way the method works is snails and slugs are very attracted to beer, any kind of beer. So what we do is we dig a little hole in any part of our garden where we expect slugs, and then we keep this little container at ground level so that the snails and slugs are attracted, and when they come towards the beer, it's easy for them to get into this trap. Now on the same night I went around looking for slugs in the garden, and I saw that near the beer trap there were a lot of slugs. You can see how attracted they are. It's like they're having a party here. The next morning you can see that a lot of snails and slugs have been trapped in this trap, and then you can eliminate them, and then just repeat the process again. Just do it for a few days, fill the container with beer, and your trap is set again, and you'll see some more the next day, and eventually the number of slugs in your garden should come down. Our third tip in eliminating slugs is to just go out at night with a flashlight and just pick them. And just put them in a bag and throw them away. You can find snails around leafy greens. They love leafy greens like radish, spinach. You can see here there's one more snail here. They also love leafy vegetables like cabbage, for example. You're going to see a lot of slugs at night. Slugs are most active at night. So by this technique, if you handpick them every day for a few days and then just do it every few weeks, the number of slugs and snails in your garden should reduce considerably. And our fourth way to eliminate slugs and snails is to use bait packets that are readily available to you in the garden store. Now if your product contains iron phosphate, you're okay, but if it contains anything called metaldehyde, it's not safe for you. It's not safe for you. It's not safe for the garden. Do not use it. What you do want to see is something called iron phosphate. Now iron phosphate is just basically iron and phosphorus, which is actually good for your garden, and this is approved for organic gardening. So it is listed as safe for organic gardening. Now I still do not recommend such products to be used because they might have undesirable residues that can be left once the product disintegrates. So this is an effective technique if you have a large area to cover, or if you have a large snail or slug population to control. But in all other cases, sticking to other techniques does help eliminate snails and slugs. So to use this method anyway, you just broadcast the product around your plants. So here you can see how this is done, though I never use this method in my garden. Now our final tip to eliminate slugs and snails is to use copper strips. Now I've personally never used this method in my garden simply because it's too much to do. But if you have copper strips around your planting containers, your raised beds, what happens is that the slime that is generated by the slugs and the snails react with copper, and it deters snails and slugs away. So it's known to keep them away, but it's just too much of work, and I don't think I would be using this technique, at least in my garden. So that's it, folks. Those were the techniques of eliminating slugs and snails in your garden. If you have any techniques to share, do let us know. Drop in a comment and give us a thumbs up if you like this video. We'll see you again soon. Happy gardening.